Hello and welcome to Retro Reviews, my channel where I review my favorite retro video games of all time as well as some modern releases I have recently finished. Today I want to talk about microtransactions, but specifically microtransactions in full-priced video games. Now this isn't like a new phenomenon, this has been going on for a very long time. I can think back all the way to like Dead Space 3, a single player or I guess multiplayer, but like a story-driven video game with no online component, having microtransactions in the story-driven content, in the campaign mode. It's so bizarre to me, and it all pretty much started off with EA. They're like the prime culprits here, and most of the examples I'm going to be talking about today, because they wanted to implement ways to make more money off the games that they're already selling at full price. It's not a terrible idea, especially if it's something cosmetic, something that doesn't impact things very much, but the principle behind it is the problem here. Because once you start implementing small microtransactions like little costumes and cosmetics and such, it starts to snowball, and it has snowballed into a major problem in the industry today. You can even think back all the way back to, I think it was Oblivion with the horse armor. Was it Oblivion? Oblivion or Skyrim? I'm pretty sure it was Oblivion with the horse armor for like $3. Just a ridiculous idea. People thought it was stupid back then, paying $3 for a stupid horse armor, but that just became something that's now more culturally appropriate in the gaming space, something we expect to see from developers, especially developers like EA or Activision. We expect them to see putting cosmetics in these games, but it's baffling to see them put it in these story-driven video games or these big $70 releases especially. Now you can understand why they put it in free-to-play games. Free-to-play games obviously need a way to make back their money. Typically they'll do this through ads and through microtransactions. I don't mind cosmetic microtransactions in a game that gives you the full experience. I don't mind that being the only cosmetic for the most part. I think Fortnite did a pretty good job of this. I think $20 for a skin is super egregious, but they were able to sell those skins. So you know what? It worked out for them. The game works whether you buy a skin or not. It does not give you advantages. For the most part, they've had like little things over time, and they've patched those things out. But for the most part, you can just play the game start to finish, any match you jump into with the default skin, and have the exact same experience as anybody else. And you're incentivized to buy these skins because they have sales and all sorts of stuff with battle passes and everything to try and get you to pony up a couple extra bucks for this free-to-play game so that you can maybe enhance your experience a little bit. I did not mind it back then at the beginning of Fortnite. I think it snowballed into a crazy amount of crossovers, and I think the $20 price point especially is pretty predatory, especially for like little kids that want to fit in with their friends or get what the big streamer is getting. So they want to spend a ton of their money, which is a lot of money. You could be spending on one skin, you could get a really phenomenal indie game on the eShop or on the PlayStation or Microsoft store. Or you could, after a couple of skins, you could buy a full-priced video game out of it. So I like the idea behind it because it's making back money on a game that they're constantly updating and developing for, but at the same time, it's just so expensive. And you see that start to creep into other aspects. You start to see them start to ramp it up and not just be a cosmetic thing, but a gameplay feature as well. If you look at Diablo Immortal, another example of a free-to-play game that has super predatory microtransactions this time around, the game itself is designed to be a tedious gameplay loop that is just awful, horrendous, unless you decide to pay for it. There was someone who did the math on what it would take to fully complete Diablo Immortal at launch without buying anything in store. And it would take over 10 years of tedious grinding. And I think that was 10 years of constant gameplay. So that you're looking at like a multi-decade investment if you want to experience everything Diablo Immortal has to offer. Or you can spend over $100,000, like the price of an Ivy League college education. You're looking at a very expensive investment if you want to experience what Diablo Immortal has. And that's just awful. For a free-to-play game, you can't even excuse that because it gives you all these like unlockables, gameplay advantages, things that progress the gameplay faster to give you a more palatable experience. Just for you ponying up some money for it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Free-to-play games make sense when they give you the full experience and give you cosmetic options or supplement it with ads to try and give you make up their money for bringing you such a good thing. Genshin Impact is one that I have not personally played, but I've heard tons of people really enjoy. It's a fully free-to-play game. Same thing with Fortnite, like I mentioned previously. It makes more sense for those games to give you like a full experience, so it'll give you better PR, give you more player base, but it sucks. The biggest thing that sucks about these things is the predatory microtransactions. You think that they would negatively impact games like Diablo Immortal, but instead you have people that are just willing to shell out a ton of money. People that are just whales. They have tons of money. They spend it, and they don't really care about inflating the wallets of the big corporations that are preying on younger people. They don't care. They just want to spend the money, get their experience, and get out. And it really sucks to see that something like Diablo Immortal sold so exceptionally well. And I say sold, it was free, made so much money off the microtransactions because how predatory they are. We need to stop buying them. Why are we still buying them? It doesn't make any sense to me. And now they're putting them into full price games as well, even more so. Resident Evil 4 Remake had some microtransactions for a single player video game. And people mostly excused it because the remake was so is so lovingly made, it was so paid so much good homage to the original, and it gave you a perfect experience that did not need any microtransactions. And so the fact that you didn't have to buy them, it didn't really do much for you, made it easy to skip over them, and they didn't push them in your face or anything. But the fact that they're in the game at all shows that these developers are trying to make more money off of their games when they're even if they're delivering a fantastic product that's selling super well. And I don't like to see that direction. Diablo 4 was a prime example of a terrible DLC transaction model here, or like I say DLC, microtransactions. They had a ton of like season pass content that was really expensive to buy. They have microtransactions that are super expensive for cosmetic things in a $70 game that you should just be able to unlock anyway. That's my biggest gripe with something like Diablo 4. The gameplay, for the most part, if you're just playing the regular single story content, is fine. People enjoy it, but the end game content is not there. It's a slog, it's a grind, it's designed to perpetually keep you in this loop of trying to get more fancy things, and the gameplay at the end game apparently is awful. I don't play Diablo games. I played Diablo 3 for a while. I enjoyed it. It wasn't really my cup of tea. I didn't play the original, so I don't understand all the complexities of the Diablo games. I know they're fantastic. I know Diablo 3 launched with lots of problems as well, but now when you get like the Ultimate Edition, it's much better. Diablo 4 has all of these problems because the endgame content is not good, and apparently for Diablo players, the endgame content is usually what you're really excited about. But in this instance, it's just a slog. And that is typically to try and drive you toward microtransactions to make it a better, palatable experience. They design games like this to not be as fun, to make you want to spend money so you can try and have fun with their experiences. They're not crafting a well-designed game anymore. They're trying to make it just fun enough to get you to play, and then once you stop having fun, you're like, oh, but you could buy this and this could help you have more fun. And so it preys on your instinct, like, oh man, I love the old Diablo games, I want to play Diablo 4, and so yeah, I'm gonna cough up an extra few bucks so I can enhance my experience some more. It's awful, and you hate to see what the direction that EA is going, because they've been doing this for a long time. Like I said, Dead Space 3 was forever ago. That was like almost a decade ago, or maybe just over a decade ago. They've been doing this for a while, and they've been implementing these plans, and it's not going to stop. Again, because people keep buying these microtransactions, even in full-priced games. They have plans to make the next Battlefield game a fully live service video game with like using AI to design it, which does not sound good coming from EA. For some developers, it makes sense. Use AI tools to kind of help the process along because it's such a long process. For EA, we know that means likely they're going to be like replacing some of their workforce that they're laying off and having tons of layoffs right now with AI. That's going to build a crappier version of a Battlefield game, again, that's fully designed to get you to pay more money for it, to keep pumping money into their model so that you can have some modicum of enjoyment. It just sucks to see. I really hate seeing microtransactions being pushed on us so frequently. Again, especially in full-price video games. I don't like them in free-to-play games either. I understand why they're there, but I hate games that give you the option to like pass up like time limits and so you can play the game more. I just want to play the game. If you made it so that I have to pay money constantly on like a subscription type basis so I can play this, I think that's garbage. It's not a good style of gameplay. I don't like things that cost more than like a few bucks, especially in like if you're talking about mobile games. I know that's a whole different ball game, but like some mobile games will have a light version. You pay $1 and you unlock the full version, or a few dollars and you unlock the full version. I don't mind that nearly as much, or get extra features. I bought like a football game on my phone. It was free, and then I paid an extra buck to get the full version, get some extra features, because I was enjoying the free version so much. It had so much content in it. I was really enjoying it. And so I'm like, cool, what's one extra dollar? I don't mind stuff like that. I think that's a great way to kind of give the player base some more options, and to maybe get a little more revenue for your game. I think that works very well. Same thing with DLCs. I think DLCs can work especially well if it's like Shadow of the Erdtree for Elden Ring. I think that's going to be a fantastic DLC that a lot of people want to play. It's not a bunch of crap that they're peddling to try and get you. It wasn't a season pass at the beginning of the game that you spend $60 on and then wait for promised features to come later, like you see with a bunch of Ubisoft models. I think Ubisoft's upcoming model with their new Assassin's Creed game, their Ultimate Edition, being like $130 to like play extra missions and play on the launch day is absolutely bonkers. I think that is so stupid. Their model of season passes is terrible. But if you have DLC, like specific DLC, that's like a big bunch of content that's value for the player, that doesn't cost a ton either, is perfect. I know I've given Nintendo a lot of crap, but I remember during the Switch era, the early Switch era, you had stuff like the DLC pass for Breath of the Wild. $20 and you get a bunch of content. You get 2 packs of content and it gives you a whole lot. It's very much worth your time. The DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I think it's again $25 this time around, but for 8 DLC packs of different tracks, you have like 8 courses per pack. It's amazing value. I really like Mario Kart. I thought that was great. Honestly, even like the Smash Bros DLC is not that unreasonable. They are pretty good at giving you good DLC for games, because Nintendo doesn't typically rely on microtransactions, except in the mobile space with like Mario Kart Tour. On their full price games, if they're going to give you DLC, they are not going to be preying on you with little microtransactions to enhance the gameplay. They're going to give you packs of DLC content that enhances the game and gives you more enjoyment as well. So I will commend them for that instance right there. I think they do a very good job of just making great games and not worrying about monetizing them further. I really enjoy that. And I would like to see more developers go away from microtransactions, and especially from live service models, because I don't think it's really the way of the future. I know it makes a lot of money right now, but it's inevitably going to come crashing down. For every one Fortnite you have, there are hundreds of other games that fail because people don't want this model very much anymore. You want one game that works exceptionally well and that you have the option to pay microtransactions for, maybe. I played Fortnite for quite a while, and then I dropped off because I got sick of all the skins, I got sick of the updates, I didn't like the new gameplay, and I went away from it for a very long time. I came back for when the OG Fortnite patch dropped for a while. I played with my friends and had a great time. But again, I'm not as high on Fortnite anymore because it just feels like a DLC, like a skin fest, and I really don't like that at all. And same thing with these other games. If EA keeps going this direction, I'm absolutely not going to buy anything that they put out. Dead Space is the last EA game that I bought, and it's great. I'm really glad they did that remake. I don't think that they're going to make any more games like it. I had some hope that they were going to make Dead Space 2 remake, but it does not look like that from the reports that I've seen, because these DLC or microtransaction-laden full-price games are a better bet for them. They think that they can make a lot more money on those titles than on these single-player games. And it just sucks to see. I think we as gamers should stop supporting microtransactions unless they are like fully fledged DLC packs. I think that's the only time we should really care about microtransactions at all. If we just stopped paying in to these ideas and these microtransactions, we'd probably get better experiences across the board. I don't know if that's going to stop anytime soon. I really hope we get to the point where people are just fed up with microtransactions and we start boycotting games. Because if not, we're just going to see a lot more of this coming in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.